Hey guys, it's Nate from Konnected here. I'm at our customer Paul's house here in Central Florida. And this is a unique opportunity because he's got a brand new construction house with no existing alarm panel. Everything's pre-wired. He reached out to me a couple weeks ago and said, hey Nate, I want the new Alarm Panel Pro. So I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to show you exactly how easy it is to install Konnected in new construction, just as easy it is in a conversion. So let's go inside and meet Paul and see what we're looking at.
Hey Nate, come on in.
Good to meet you. You ready to get your house connected?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's check it out, see what we got. All right, so we're here in Paul's laundry room and he's got a brand new AV cabinet and all the wiring and for everything in his house is in here, which is gonna make it really easy and convenient for us to get in there and set this up. So let's take a look at what we've got. All right, these are all your coax going to your TVs around the house. Here's that bundle of wires for the alarm system. This looks like our typical, 22 gauge alarm wire. And of course the original installers don't label anything. And that's gonna be the hardest part of this whole thing. It's to figure out which wire goes to which. So I'll show you guys how we do that. And it may take a few minutes, but looks like we've got a couple dozen wires here. But yeah, these are all going through to the sensors in the house. We might need to install a motion sensor or a siren since this is new construction. There wasn't an existing alarm panel in place, but that shouldn't be too hard. And then it looks like, Paul, you've got Ethernet here, so that's great. We're gonna use the Alarm Panel Pro today, which has Ethernet capability, so that way you don't have to worry about wireless signal or anything like that in here, and it's super reliable and fast. And we've got power in here also. So it looks like we've got a spot for the Alarm Panel Pro to go right here. All right, Paul, so here's the Alarm Panel Pro, and this is what we're gonna be putting in your house. But the Alarm Panel Pro has an Ethernet capability here, or Ethernet port here, and that will, if you had PoE, that would power it also, but it looks like this is just a regular network switch, so we'll just plug it in also. That's no big deal. Okay. These are our outputs for our auxiliary sensors, if we have motion sensors and stuff like that, and our siren, and then the zone wires go here. So I think before we get started, this should fit in here really nicely, right? Right like that. Konnected Alarm Panel Pro is infinitely expandable, as all of our products are, because they each work independently. So if you have more than 12 zones, just buy 2 of them, and then you've got 24 zones. Yep. Works great. All right, so first step, let's start figuring out which wire is which. And I'll get my multimeter and my wire toner and tracer, and we'll kind of go around the house and label everything.
All right.
All right. One thing I want to point out while we're doing this installation, and I noticed right away, we have some wires here with 4 inner cores. This one's got a red, black, green, and yellow, and then a few of them just with 2 cores, the red and the black. Typically, the 4 core wires are going to be going to your motion sensors or powered sensors, and the 2 core wires are going to be going to the passive door and window sensors, because those don't require any external power. It's just a signal loop that's going through it. The motion sensors and the other powered sensors, the black and the red pair are for your power, and then the green and the yellow is like the signal loop. So there's going to be 4 wires for those. So that's a little bit of a clue as to which wire is going to which. They also use 4 core wire for your keypad. So I think you have a keypad location over here by the garage door, and we'll open that up and we'll see if we can trace which wire that is.
Sure.
So I'm gonna just go ahead and strip the rest of these real quick. And it looks like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 wires with the 4 cores, and then the rest of them are your door and window sensors. Those are the red and black ones only. We've got 1 for a motion sensor, 1 for a siren, 1 for a keypad, and 1 mystery bonus. Okay, let's figure it out. We know that this is probably where your keypad wiring is, right? Because this is the entry to the garage. So let's take off this wall plate and then we'll be able to eliminate that one and label which one that is. All right. Yep, that looks like the alarm wire. And as I expected, this is the 4 core wire. So it's one of those 4 core wires on that side. And we just got to figure out which one it is. I think the best way to figure this out is with a wire toner like this. And you can get these for like 20 or 25 bucks on Amazon. The way this works is I'm gonna take the red and black terminals on this toner and put it on the red and black wires here. And what this thing does is it kind of sends a pulse, like a tone through the wire. And I will put it on scan mode. Hold the probe near the wires. You hear that tone there? So that's the tone that it's sending through the wire. Now we just go to the other side and find out which one of these wires is making the tone. Not that one. There it is, boom, got it. So we've got these handy wire label sheets that come with your connected kit. I'm just gonna label it KP for keypad. One wire down, let's find the rest. Now, while we're here in the laundry room, this is gonna be the entry door to the garage, right? Another technique that I've gotten, this is just a typical multimeter. And we can set the multimeter on continuity mode, which on mine, it looks like a little speaker symbol like that. And the way that that works is, I show the speaker symbol here. When it makes a closed circuit, you'll hear the tone and the light will light up. So that means if we touch these two wires to one of these two wires and the door is closed, then we'll hear the tone. We've got that door open, so I imagine the rest of your sensors are closed right now. At least that's the working assumption. So we're gonna try to just go through each one of these and see which one doesn't tone, and then we'll narrow it down. So that one's closed. Yeah, if you wanna hold those as we go through it, that would be helpful. That's closed. All right, that one is not toning. So if you go close that door real quick, if we hear it tone, then we know we got the right one. Boom, nailed it. All right, so that's our garage door. One down, 15 to go. Now we've got these two windows. Let's open this up and see what we're looking at. So typically on windows, you're gonna see these little sensors here on the frame. Sometimes they do embed them into the door frame, but these are surface mount ones. And since it's two panes of windows, we've got one on that side, one on this side. So those are gonna be coming back and terminating to two separate wires. But usually what we'll do is just tie them together in series just to make one zone called playroom windows. So we gotta identify both of those wires now. Sure. So let's open one at a time and we'll use that same technique to figure out which one is the closed one. All right, we got one open, right, Paul?
Yeah, one window is open.
Paul, can you close that one for me?
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. All right.
Got it?
Yep. All right, now the other side.
All right. Open.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, got it. So these are the two windows for our playroom windows, and we're gonna group them together to make one single zone. And to do that, we just wire them together what we call in series. Now the colors don't really matter because it's just a loop. There's no polarity here, but I usually just like to keep it consistent and twist together black to red, and then the two terminating ones are gonna be our zone. So I'm gonna use one of these are called B connectors or beanies. It's basically just like a little crimp tool, and we put that over the wires, crimp them together. Boom, now we've got one zone there. That's our playroom window. All right, moving right along. Let's go to the next window. All right, is that window open, Paul?
Yeah, it's open.
All right, try that one. Close it for me.
Closed.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, great. All right, so we're moving through this. It's gonna get faster as we go because there are fewer wires to check, but this is the most time-consuming part if your original installer didn't label things. So if anybody out there is a low voltage installer, please label your wires to make my life easier and our customers' life easier. But with the right tools, it's really not a big deal. It's just a bit of trial and error and we'll figure it out. We're gonna finish labeling and identifying all these wires, and then we'll get to the fun part. Door's open, Paul? All right, not that one. Paul, can you close the door for me? Yeah, that's it. All right, there's our front door, okay. All right, we got our little motion sensor, and there's little punch outs for your mounting holes and for your wire hole. So I'm gonna just punch those out real quick. And I was able to run this 4-core wire through a little hole that I poked in the drywall. And we're gonna just flush mount this here, and that should kind of cover motion in this whole kind of kitchen area and living room area. So Motion sensor, siren. I think that's all the wiring left that we have to do. And now we'll go back to the cabinet and start hooking up all the wires to the Alarm Panel Pro. And we're almost done. Alarm Panel Pro. Now it's time for the fun part. We're gonna install this guy. We've labeled all the wires. And you know, I didn't count the zones. We tied some together. I think we're gonna be good with our 12 zones here, but we'll wing it. We'll see what we get. First step, I'm gonna connect the 4-core wires. 4-core wires would be the siren and the motion sensor, and then the power going to our keypad. Let's just do the siren and motion sensor first, and we'll deal with the tablet for the keypad later. So this one we called motion, and I'm gonna plug in all the wires before I mount everything. And the motion sensor is gonna have, again, 4 wires, black, red for the power, and then the other 2 colors, green, yellow, for the signal. So the power is gonna need to go into this 12 volt aux or auxiliary. So we've got our 12 volt plus and our minus right here. So red goes into the plus and black goes into the minus. I'm gonna slip those in there first. And these nice heavy duty terminals give you a lot of torque. Okay, so that's 12 volt plus. Now the siren return, the negative, is going to go on this switch terminal for the alarm 1 minus. That's what's switched when you trigger the siren. So I'll plug that one in there. We've got 12 numbered zones along the bottom, and then there's a G, a ground, a common ground in between each. So the intention is that it would share the ground between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. They share the same G. They're all the same common ground, so like they could all be in one, but that just makes it more convenient for wiring. So I'll leave this G a little bit looser, and then we will put in the next sensor. I'm gonna put the front door in zone 2. So that's gonna share the G with zone 1, and now I can tighten all those wires down, and then the other side in zone 2. Now for our single like black-red wires, the polarity does not matter. So I got front door in zone 2. Let me put my garage entry door in zone 3. Now of course the zone numbers, it doesn't matter which one you use as long as you kind of keep track, because we're going to program these in the app a little bit later. Before I tighten that G, let's put the next sensor wire in there. This one will be slider to the pool. That'll be zone 4. So we could be writing down these zones as we go, or so when we go to program it later, it's a little bit simpler. So I'll put that in the G next to it. And then what do we have left here? There's the office windows. So you see, as I'm plugging these in, we're trying to, not leave too much exposed copper here behind the, below the screw terminals, because, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but you just don't want them accidentally touching and creating shorts, and that'll just be a headache. I think that's it. Those are all the labels, those are all the wires that we identified. So we have 9 zones here. And then we have our keypad wire, which we're gonna leave open for now. All right, so we've got everything wired up preliminarily. And next step will be to power this up, plug in the Ethernet, and then discover it in the Konnected app, and then set up SmartThings and SmartThings Home Monitor. Go around and check to make sure each zone is working properly. And then we'll show Paul how to use this system. We've got a couple options for power here. Now the Alarm Panel Pro can be powered with power over Ethernet if we had a PoE plus switch. I think Paul's Netgear switch is not a PoE switch, but that's okay, because there's also power in here, and you get a little bit more juice from a regular power adapter than you would from PoE. PoE is only going to give me up to 1 amp, and this power adapter is 2.5 amps, so it's more than double. It's not that we have a huge amount of current coming from this device, but We also have, Paul has this backup power block that looks like it's powering his modem and some of the other equipment in here. We could tap into the 12 volt output of that, but again, that's limited to 1 amp. Our little backup battery does have the capability to power up to 2.5 amps. And that's only important really if the siren is on, because the device itself is really going to use less than 0.5 amp in its normal kind of mode, probably even half that. But if the siren's on, then the power consumption will jump up to about 1 amp of power. So anyways, we put our power brick in there, and then we'll put our connected backup battery. So the power goes to the 12 volt in, and then that will indicate that it's charging. And then this will be our backup power for the connected alarm panel. If we have like a little mounting thing, we could kind of hang this. I'm just gonna put it in there for now. And then we have the little patch cable goes to the 12 volt out. Let's see, I can balance that here for right now, and we'll make this nice in a little bit. And then I plug that in, and we see it lights up. All right, so we see the green power light. That should remain on constant as long as the device is powered. The blue light is blinking slowly. That means it's searching for a Wi-Fi connection. In this case, we're going to use Ethernet, so we don't need to worry about Wi-Fi. But if you wanted to set up the Alarm Panel Pro on Wi-Fi at this point, now would be the time to do it. Instead, we're going to take an Ethernet cable and plug it into this switch, and then into the Alarm Panel Pro, and that should, we see the Ethernet ports light up. And then in a second, the blue light should stop blinking as it obtains an IP address from Paul's router here. So good, device is online and it's ready to go. And it's being powered through our power adapter and backup battery. This backup battery will stop blinking and remain green after a couple hours once it gets to full charge. All right, next step is set it up in the app and make sure that everything's working the way we want it to. Nice, there it is. So it showed up. If you had more than one device, obviously there'd be a list of them. So let's go ahead and tap into that one and then get it set up. So let's just kind of give you some basic status information. If you ever need to contact tech support, that status page is pretty useful. In this case, you're going to be using SmartThings, so it kind of showing you how to configure all the different integrations that we have. For SmartThings, we're going to register it in Konnected Cloud, so go ahead and tap there. And you'll need to sign up with Konnected Cloud if you don't have one already. All right, we're signed into Konnected Cloud, which is a free account, and that's how we access our cloud service that connects it to SmartThings. And then it's found your device, so just hit Start Now to register it, and that's going to provision it in our cloud service. And now the next step is to assign the zones. So just tap there. Now this part we just do one by one. I've kind of written them down as we go. So just hit the plus button and zone number. So we just kind of have to manually go through this. Zone 1, and these are all the zone types that we support. In this case, zone 1 is our motion sensor, so choose motion, and then just put a name for it. And then the inverse flag, normally you would just want to leave that unchecked. In the rare case where you have a sensor that's like reversed, it's like normally open and then closes when it's detected, you would flip that to kind of invert the logic. So just hit save. So once we're done, we'll hit sync to device, and that will provision all the zones. But let's get through zones 1 through 9 here, and then our siren. So zone 2 is a door, and that's the front door. 3 is garage door. 8 is the office window. And now that we've set up all of our zones, linked it to SmartThings, they show up in SmartThings, and now we can go ahead and check each sensor to make sure it works. So I'm going to open the pool slider first, since that's the one that's right here. And it should be almost instantaneous. You'll see that status change on the...
Yep.
Got it?
Shows open.
All right. Dog just escaped. I hope that's okay.
Leave her out there.
All right, cool. You know, we put that motion sensor up there, and those typically, you know, you'll see a red light or sometimes a blue light will illuminate when it detects motion. And that should almost instantaneously reflect in the SmartThings app. You ready for me, Paul?
Yep.
I'm gonna walk past it. Wave in, there's the red light. You see a change?
Yep, motion detected.
Yeah, cool. It's going off and on, right, as I move around?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna open the front door now.
Yep.
Got it? Great. And let's see, let's do the door to the
laundry room, or the garage door.
Garage door, yeah.
Open.
Nice. That's what I like to hear. We got all the sensors working, right? So the siren, you can trigger that manually in SmartThings by just setting it to siren. And then it works. It worked. It's gonna wake you up at night for sure. Be careful with that one. Yeah. Oh, and I also can put like a little buzzer if you want to have like the beeper.
Yeah.
You know, like
Let's do that.
Let's do that. Okay. So these little piezo buzzer. Simplest way to hook these up is just use some of the jumper wires that come with the kit. Plug to these both ends. Now the polarity does matter here, so I plugged the plus, there's a plus on that side, into the white, and then the purple is the ground. And I'm just gonna plug that into the out one terminal on here. So the plus would be out one, and then the purple would be the ground. Now, Paul, you're gonna have to go into here. I'm just gonna leave it hanging like this. And it should be pretty loud. And Paul, you'll go back into the SmartThings, into the Konnected app to set that out one zone as like a beep. And then you can configure the way you want it to beep. So a typical alarm system is going to have, you know, one of your push button keypads here by the door. But since we have a smart alarm system, we don't need to be arming and disarming with a physical keypad. Our phone and our app is going to do that for us automatically. But it's still nice to have that visual display by the door. And so Paul's bought an Amazon Fire tablet, and SmartThings has a web-based interface. And also Home Assistant and Hubitat have similar web-based interfaces that you can set up on the tablet as like an always-on display that can show your alarm system status, all of your sensors, and put whatever else you want on there, like weather or camera feeds or something like that. We sell these nice little 12-volt converters that puts a USB-C charger, you know, running the power through that wire so that you can mount it really nicely. Now I just have to connect this to the 12-volt aux power on the Alarm Panel Pro. Now if I had more than one tablet, I would probably want to use a separate power supply for 2 or 3 tablets. And you can easily do that with just another plug-in power supply and a little DC terminal adapter. In this case, one tablet's gonna draw about 1 amp of power at most. So since we have it plugged into here, that should be plenty of juice to power one tablet. Beautiful, all right. Now we should have 12 volts running from there to the keypad. And if I plug this in, we should see that it's powering. Nice. That worked. So that's all good. And we have like 3D printed frames that can kind of mount on these that look pretty nice. All right, so we're just gonna test the system now, right? And arm it, and then open the door, and then you will hear the warning beep. All right, so it's armed. Now if I open the garage door, you should get a notification immediately and also hear the warning beep inside. There it is, and so there's your, now if you dismiss it within 30 seconds, it's gonna turn everything off. If you hadn't done that, we would have heard the siren in a couple of seconds, right? So that works, that's amazing. That's
very cool.
Yeah, really easy to use. So here we armed and disarmed manually, but of course you could set up your automations so that that will happen automatically as you come and go from the house. And that makes it really powerful, really smart. You never really have to think about it anymore.
Yeah, great.
This is looking pretty good, Paul. we've got, you know, our 3D printed frame, and this is a 8-inch fire tablet, right, that you just bought. Now there are a lot of options for kind of like a screen display, and you know, this just adds like that modern feel to your home, even though it's not a required part of the connected alarm panel system, right? A lot of people like to have some visual representation of their system. So with SmartThings, you have a couple options. You have Action Tiles, you have Sharp Tools, which are 2 third-party, you know, kind of dashboard display apps. I think you had Action Tiles on here already. And then SmartThings has a new kind of their own web-based dashboard. If you just, I think you go to my.smartthings.com, and then that will create like another, you know, their own kind of dashboard. It'll show you the status of your doors and windows and have buttons for you to trigger stuff. I'm not gonna walk through that right now because that's like a whole nother video, right? But there's an app called Fully Kiosk Browser that you can download through there. Just Google Fully Kiosk, and then that basically makes like a full screen browser that you can lock out, you know, so that your kid's not going to come over here and start playing games or something like that, okay. Right? And then there's some nice features in it where it can automatically like dim and power save, and then use the camera to detect if somebody's in the room. And there's also a trick on these Fire tablets to enable, I think they call it developer mode, which gives you a little toggle switch to make the screen stay on all the time, right, when it's plugged in. So you're a software guy, I'm sure you know how to do that. Yeah. So, and then, you know, this just kind of adds that look. And we just use the wires from the keypad to run 12 volts to this the system, and then the charger is hidden inside the frame there.
Yeah, that's great.
Cool. And we're done. And we've left Paul with a great smart home security system, all of his pre-wired sensors in this brand new home integrated seamlessly with the Konnected Alarm Panel Pro. And now they're showing up in his SmartThings app, so him and his wife can monitor their home from anywhere without any monthly fees. You can do this yourself too. It really wasn't hard. It only took us a couple hours. Go to konnected.io, pick your kit, and we'll take care of you.